有的时候呢，看印度甲亢姐的新闻报道啊，会产生一种人格分裂感。按道理呢，应该印度会紧抱着这个美国的大腿，对吧？即使报道美国的这个新闻的部分，也应该摘一些好像伪光正的部分去报道嘛。可是啊，前段时间当甲亢姐突然之间炮轰美国的 F-35这个战机是废铁之后呢，这段时间又盯着洛杉矶的暴动，不放了。而且呢，他还报道的有理有据、有丁有卯的啊，咱们来看看。
Cars thrashed protesters and tear gas in the air. I thought this only happened in the third world, maybe in Asia or Africa. Surely not in the land of freedom. And what's with all the rubber bullets and flashbangs? Why not hold talks with the protesters? Why not let them block highways to make a point? Sounds absurd, doesn't it? Well, this is what we usually hear from Washington, D.C., lectures and advice. Just imagine these scenes in South Africa or India or Kenya. The US would be all over us. They would be noting the protests with concern. They would be advising restraint. And they would be reminding governments of the rule of law. But now those scenes are happening in California. There is no restraint or rule of law. There is absolute carnage. Reporters are being attacked with rubber pellets. Public property is being burnt and protesters are being tear-gassed. Where is the global outrage? So far, we've only heard from non-Western countries. Mexico, for instance, has slammed Trump's immigration raids.
We disagree with this approach to addressing the migration phenomenon. We won't address the migration phenomenon with raids or violence. We will address it by sitting down and working on comprehensive immigration reform that considers all Mexicans across the border.
China has a consulate in Los Angeles. It has issued an advisory for Chinese citizens: monitor official announcements, take more precautions, and avoid going to crowded places. That is what China has told its people. India does not have a diplomatic mission in the city, but India does have a consulate in San Francisco, though so far no advisory has been issued. We say it's about time. Los Angeles is home to about 150,000 Indians and Indian Americans. It is the home of Hollywood. It is the home of the 2028 Olympics. If this city is not safe, people deserve to know. Because this is so unpredictable. If you're a migrant, you can be raided anytime. If you own a business, you could lose everything in a riot. If you're a cop, you could be attacked by protesters. If you're a protester, you could be tear-gassed. And if you're a journalist, you could be shot by security officials. I wonder what that's worth in a press freedom report. Surely a couple of ranks. But so far, most countries have been silent. The usual suspects have no lecture to give, no moral outrage to display, and no criticism to level. Because it's all about politics and convenience. Just think about it. The US government is talking about deploying the army against its own people, not terrorists or rebels, but protesters. Imagine if this happened anywhere else. Every Western government would have lined up to criticize, to give unsolicited advice. But because it's America, they're silent. It's about time we call out this hypocrisy. The truth is, America is a backsliding democracy. Their president is a convicted felon. Their protesters are arsonists. Their women have no rights over their body. They are illegally raiding citizens and migrants. They're banning travelers on the basis of religion. They're barring media outlets over ideology, and they're using force to quell dissent. 20 years back, the US military would have invaded this country. I mean, it checks all the boxes. An authoritarian leader, a lot of gas and oil, and a fractured political landscape. It's the perfect nation-building mission for America. And I know a lot of US politicians will spin this differently, especially the Democrats. They will say Trump's raids and deportations are illegal, that they're un-American, that they will divide the society. Well, we say, wake up to the new reality of your country. This is not un-American. This is on point for you. Let me show you the latest opinion poll. 54% Americans approve of Trump's deportations, 54%. 42% said it is making them safer. I know it's easy to blame Trump and move on, but the fact is Americans want this. Yes, the policy is divisive, illegal and high-handed, but most of America wants exactly that. There is no point pretending that your country is better than this. You're only as good as the people you elect. So ditch the moral high ground, stop lecturing other countries, and get your house in order.
不过这两天呢，印度的一架客机坠毁啊，咱们不能用调侃的口气来聊了啊，这个事情真的是危及到老百姓的这个性命安全的问题了。可是呢，我们反过来看，这又是一架美国的波音飞机。美国的波音飞机出事已经不是一次两次了，那背后到底是什么问题呢？其实还真的是不知道，我们看看相关的报道吧。
We talked about the crash, how it happened, and why Air India is under the scanner. But what about the plane itself? The aircraft. Boeing has issued a statement. It says, and I quote, "We are in contact with Air India regarding flight 171 and stand ready to support them." So quite a generic corporate response, but the response from investors was sharper. Boeing shares plunged 8% during pre-market trading because this is not a one-off. Boeing is no stranger to fatal crashes. The company has been under fire for years. So this will be the final nail, or will this be the final nail in the Boeing coffin? First, let's look at the aircraft. The Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. It was marketed as a revolutionary aircraft. It was supposed to be a game changer in modern aviation. The aircraft first entered into service in 2011. Right now, there are more than 1,175 Dreamliners in service. As we speak, 1,175 Dreamliners. They account for 2,100 flights every day. In total, the Dreamliner has clocked nearly 5 million flights. Air India got its first Dreamliner in 2012. By 2014, they were inducted into the fleet. Since then, it has become a core part of Air India's international routes. I keep saying we don't know what went wrong with today's flight. But we can tell you that a lot has been going wrong for Boeing. In 2024, a whistleblower emerged, a Boeing engineer named Sam Salepur. And he made some big revelations. He said that the 787 was being assembled sloppily. Boeing was taking shortcuts. Body pieces were being aligned in a subpar manner. There was also pressure on engineers. They had to approve work that they hadn't checked. Sam Salepur was one such engineer. So he turned whistleblower. And just months after that, he died mysteriously. But his allegations did not die, and the questions he raised are not new. In 2021, Boeing halted deliveries of new Dreamliners. The US aviation watchdog, the FAA, looked into it. They looked into quality control, especially about how the jet was being assembled. Boeing then made changes to its manufacturing process. Deliveries were soon resumed, and the company maintained that the planes were safe to fly. And we must add here, plane crashes are rare, very, very rare, and most do not shake public trust in aviation. But this one hits different, and that's because of Boeing's past record. In recent years, 2 of its 737 MAX planes have crashed. More than 300 people have lost their lives. Many countries have grounded the 737 MAX planes. And not just that, Boeing has been drowning in bad press for months, with emergency doors blowing off mid-air, loose bolts found in rudders, planes with missing oxygen masks, a CEO forced to resign, and whistleblowers found dead. If this crash is traced back to an aircraft issue, it may be game over for Boeing. It will lose any moral credibility it had left. And for passengers, this is a turning point. They're asking questions they shouldn't have to ask in 2025. Is the flight they're flying a Boeing plane? Is it a 787? Am I safe? I'm afraid we cannot answer these questions. But here's something that we can say. Despite the glaring issues, Boeing will remain in business for the foreseeable future. It can keep delivering subpar planes because airlines do not have alternatives. The airplane industry is a duopoly. There are 2 major aircraft makers in our world today, Boeing and Airbus. Even together, they're not being able to meet the demand. So there is no way that Airbus alone can build what the world needs, which explains why Boeing will have a market. And for all the trending hashtags that say, if it's Boeing, I'm not going, the consumer is not really spoiled for choice. That, unfortunately, is where things stand today.
当然，这次危机啊，所幸的还有一位幸存者啊，有可能会在他的口中得知更确切的一些消息。好，点个订阅，我们下次再聊。